Welcome, Steve. So good to see you again. And oh my God, you're such a serial entrepreneur. You're now started another company. Do you want to talk a little bit about M10?
Sure. M10 is basically solving the problem of we have very old plumbing that is underlying our banking systems. And so it's modernizing that to be much more efficient in terms of how we move money, the protocols, how many times you sanction screen, and so forth. And so it's kind of like extreme makeover, but it's for the plumbing. It's for the stuff that people don't see. And it's kind of hard to displace the plumbing that's there, but it is kind of old, and there are much more efficient ways to do it. So, and that makes cross-border payments can happen instantly, 24/7. So faster than you could do a local payment, you could do a cross-border payment.
So people don't see it, but people benefit from having better plumbing, correct?
That's right. Yeah. Everybody will note. They'll wonder, wow, it suddenly worked better, right? But the faucets are all the same, but there'll actually be some new faucets that will give you more direct access than you would have by having to go through your bank.
Fabulous. So what do you think about all the changes? And we just seem to be ripe at the moment with all the new challenger banks, neobanks. People are really focused on changing the banking industry. What's your overview?
Well, we're in a period of transition, and there are some new trends that are taking off, and like one of them is what we're doing in terms of digital money and making things more efficient. And banks have a choice because they can either get on the train, and they can go and say, okay, this stuff is inevitable. Let's be the first ones on it, or they can lag behind. And so, as an example, the internet, banks the last bank that got on the internet waited about 10 years before they got on. And some people got on early and took advantage of that opportunity. And we're going to see the same thing with happening with any new technology. Some people will say, I don't like this. This is going to disintermediate. I'm making lots of money right now. I don't want to, have, I don't want to rock the boat. And other people say, well, we should we should do this because if we don't do it, if we don't cannibalize ourselves, then someone else will. And so you just see a mixture of approaches out there.
So what's your overview about the future and where we're headed now? Because it does seem like a very exciting time at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's a interesting transition time when over the next 5 years, we're going to see some pretty remarkable changes on how things are done. And just as a precursor of that, you're seeing central banks, 70 to 80% of central banks are looking at launching a central bank digital currency. And so that didn't happen before. And so Libra, the big benefit of Libra was actually kicking the banks to say, look, there is a demand for this and you should provide it. And I don't think Libra will ever be commercially successful, but I think it will be successful in the sense of moving banks out of their kind of sit back, this has been going, complacency into taking action.
It's sort of like the sacrificial lamb, really, and everyone hated Mark Zuckerberg and Libra, and then they we've got to do something better.
Him for basically showing the banks that they should be doing something better.
And maybe he didn't realize that. He was, again, part of the sacrificial lamb part. But it was great, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So the future looks bright. Thank you so much for coming, and I think it's going to be a great panel.
Sure, my pleasure.
Okay.